many decades ago. And of course, we have Mr. Hussein Osar here, who was our director at NACO, where I started before going to CPA. And for the records, I'm sure some of you follow Dr. Satang Nabane on Facebook. He's been around doing lectures. He was actually the first speaker of the Chilean National Assembly. I don't know what time this was, but many decades ago, just for your information. All right. On the side of the Youth and Sports Ministry, like others said, we are the ministry of government responsible for the coordination of programs and policies in relation to youth and sports development in the Gambia. And we are one ministry, just like several others, that have two portfolios. We have the portfolio of the youth, and then we have the sport portfolio. So in the youth portfolio, we are responsible for coordinating anything that has to do with young people, working with other agencies, including the UN, in rolling out programs that support and empower the young people of this country, be it in agriculture or in skills acquisition or in education or what have you. And then we have the sport portfolio, which has its vision as ensuring excellence in sport performance, participation, and the development of the infrastructure, of the sports infrastructure in the Gambia. So that is how to sum it if you want to understand what our responsibilities are. So as a ministry, we have several institutions, several agencies under the ministry. On the side of the youth, again, we have the National Youth Council, where currently the Children National Assembly is housed, and they are responsible for the coordination. And I know there are efforts to hand it over to the Ministry of Gender because we know they are the right ministry. When Youth Council was taking part in the process of the Children National Assembly, we didn't have then a Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Welfare. So Youth Council is there, and then we have the National Youth Service Scheme. And some of you must have seen most of the work that Youth Council is doing, both in the Greater Banjul area, but also in the rural areas. Their role relates mostly to issues of advocacy and training of young people, empowering young people, and ensuring that they stand as a voice for the young people, but as well as advising government on issues concerning youth. And of course, they are engaged all the time when issues come up where youth matters are of concern. And we do not necessarily reach out to every young person, but we see the National Youth Council as the one that represents government in issues of matters of young people, but also represent issues of young people at the government side. And so NYSS, as the name calls it, is the service scheme where as a ministry, as a government, we strive to empower young people through skill acquisition, school through reorientation in terms of camps and others that help to reorient our young people and make them great citizens, and then send them to various institutions for skill training. So currently, we are rolling out the National Youth Service Graduate Program with target university students. And every year, we recruit hundreds or 100 young people, put them on orientation like they are currently on orientation and they're passing out today. And then they will have 1 year, 12 months of paid internship or paid job placement, all taken care of by the government and with the support, of course, of our partners as well. And then the ATP, which is the Apprenticeship Training Program, is targeting those that have not secured grade 9, well, from 0 to grade 9. So if you have not gone to school at all, or maybe you stop at grade 9, the ATP is the program that the NYSS uses to recruit those young people from all over the country, put them through a 1-month orientation at a camp where they are trained by the Gambia Armed Forces and the Gambia Police Force. And after that, we send them to a TVET institution for 2 years. And that is also paid by government in addition to the stipend that is given to them monthly to be able to facilitate their transport refund to go to school. So you have a program where your tuition fee, your transport refund to go to school, and school materials are all provided for by the government. And all they ask the young person is to just go and get that skill in for 2 years, and then you graduate and move on. Same as the regular program. So under the youth, that is what we do. For the sports, which is the most, I guess, focused issue. And sometimes we are accused of being biased when in actual sense we are not. There is a lot happening in the youth sector, even on the agriculture. We currently run an agriculture or agroforestry training center in Chamen in the North Bank region, which every year recruits between 50 and 70 young people from across the country. And government pays for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner and their accommodation for 12 months. And when they graduate, we give them a token to go and start something new. So these are all initiatives that are in the youth sector. But the sport, because it comes along with a lot of noise and a lot of talk, that's why people tend to focus on that. But in the sports sector, we are responsible for the infrastructure, and currently we are developing some of the infrastructure across the country. And like Honorable Dr. Samate said, and we are not comparing with the past, but the reality is that this government is doing so much in terms of development infrastructure, because we believe that you cannot have a thriving sports sector, you cannot have excellence in sport, you cannot have young people that are going to go out there and represent us well if you don't have the infrastructure at the local level. So government is putting so much in developing the infrastructure across the, or 5 minutes, across the country. And of course, our national teams. So I'll just take 1 minute to conclude on that. We have our national teams. Today, every sport association in the Gambia feels and gets support from government. Be it currently our national deaf team is in Nigeria performing very well, and they're playing the final today with Nigeria in the West African deaf sports. The amputee team was in Egypt last year, and then our national team is going to Kenya to play against Kenya for the World Cup qualifiers, and you can go on. You followed the athletics, the school games that happened recently in Nigeria, where Gambia was the champion in the 3-on-3 basketball, we are the champion in beach volleyball, and we're the champion in the 100 meters race. So a lot is happening, but I'll just want to stop here because I did promise, Doctor, that I will stick to the 5 minutes. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I think I understand the Honorable Ministers because they've done a lot and they want to share everything that they've done. But believe me, we have some very smart young people here. They'll ask you those questions. So don't worry. Those questions will come. So what I don't want is for you to preempt their questions. So there are a lot of questions to ask you. You'll have the time to really discuss everything you've done in your sectors. Honorable Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources.
Thank you, Doctor. The MC for this ceremony. I think from yesterday to today, you have been paid by the young people to steer their affairs. Congratulations for teaming up with your teams. Good morning to all here present. Allow me to stand on existing protocol to maximize my 5 minutes. I wish it's 5 years. My 5 minutes time allocated. I want to recognize the presence of my technicians, Honorable Minister, because of the importance climate change and the Minister of Environment put on the matters of the young people. I ask all my technicians to be here. I have the director of CPCU, that's the director of projects. I have the NEA executive director. I have the director of Parks and Wildlife. And I want to believe even the forestry is also here. I saw one of them. I think all my technicians are here present. Not to make direct contributions today, but to feel your concerns so that in the future we will be able to not only incorporate all your concerns in what we do, but to be able to recognize your importance and open our doors more widely to engaging with you, knowing that you are the future generations of this country. I recognize the presence of the Minister of Gender. This is your show, but of course, the UNICEF rep, who has not only been advocating for the young people's interests, but he has been very aggressive. She has been very aggressive. I remember before our climate change bill was being designed, she came to say, look, we want to have a separate policy that addresses youth and the environment. I said, no, let's slow down. We have our national, the first climate change bill that is coming up, and that's the highest legal instrument and the right fit to have matters of young people input. And there, she didn't relent. She continued to work with us. And I want to tell you, for the first time in the history of the Gambia, under the government of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, we are having a climate change bill. It's already validated and now at almost the last stage for cabinet to approve, then to National Assembly. The bill is not only the end, we are still also going to have the strategic policy to guide the implementation of this bill. Within the strategic outlines, we have 5 key pathways to follow to implement it. But I just want to concentrate on the most important for this gathering. That's to talk about enforcing, strengthening the legal base and its enforcement. That cannot be done without the right advocacy and the right knowledge base. Because for policies to be meaningful and sustainable, attitude must commensurate. And attitude cannot commensurate if awareness is not there. And awareness cannot be there if people are not educated. And that is where I want to commend the work of the National Environment Agency for leading this race and engaging the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education to have what we call Catch Them Young initiative. We are now preparing a policy pathway so that at least we will have issues of the environment incorporated in our curriculum. Then if children learn what is their interest, what's their responsibility, what's their role, what best practice when it comes to environment management and healthy environment, they will go a long way in changing their attitude, but of course in inducing change at the household level. Children are the best agent for change. So if we catch them at that early age, we are assured of a healthy environment that is sustainable and all-inclusive. That's what the environment is doing. But allow me to pause here to tell you so that the young people can know what would they now be obliged to deal with when it comes to the environment. Under the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources is too big, but petroleum is not under me, even though it's natural resources. I see even National Assembly members confusing when it comes to some of the aspects that is under natural resources, but not within the portfolio of the Ministry of Environment, like geology issues and even when it comes to mining. We have under the ministry National Environment Agency that is more of a regulatory body. They regulate matters of environment and they do the ESIA, that's the Environment and Social Impact Assessment. They also do assessment and monitoring of how we implement their National Environment Management Act and listen with agencies that are or institutions that are very close in implementing environment interests, like the council, who are responsible for waste collection, waste disposal, and of course, to some extent, managing its process. The National Environment Management regulates matters of this. And then we have the Department of Parks and Wildlife. The Department of Parks and Wildlife are not per se dealing with the forest, but live inside the forest. And over, even those that are wild and are also in the sea. So that's their responsibility. You can engage them on that part. And we also have the forestry department. That one is summit, or the name itself is conclusive. The forestry department deals with the trees wherever they are. This is why some people do miss their steps. When they want to handle the trees in their houses, they think they have overall rights to do whatever they want. No, even at that case, you have to get permission to bring down every tree. Every tree in this country, no matter who grows it and where it grows, is under the Department of Forestry's responsibility to manage them. Because these are our natural resources. They must be controlled and managed by a set so that at least we will have a harmonized environment to plan, manage, and support the development of the environment and matters around us. I want to also inform you that going back to the climate change bill that will soon be ready, we have the policy, the strategic policy. And I was talking about the 5 pathways to help us implement this policy. Within this, we have the strong passion and policy directive to also make sure that the environment is resilient, but not only resilient, but it is healthy for our livelihood, but it is also at least incorporated in social protection aspect. Social protection, once you talk about that, you're talking about the children and also the society. Because if the society and our children are not incorporated in what we do, we miss our steps. But finally, we also have the just transition. The just transition is talking about how do we transit from the current doings and to the next realities, or what is acceptable for the next. That's from business as usual to business usual. And the just transition affects the youth interests because this is about employment. For now, we have people that are working on that want to be electricians per se. We know that in the in the energy sector, we need to make sure that we align this with clean energy. Therefore, you have to go and look about gaining knowledge in terms of solar installations and solar management. That's the pathway. So if you are on the other side, that was into fossil fuel and other things, you might get out of the job cycle. So therefore, there is interest and also there is policy directive to make sure that we are able to harmonize, but also we are able to include an inclusive, a sustainable mechanism for the transition from one stage to another for a sustainable pathway. Thank you. I know you don't have much passion for the environment. I hope you don't because it affects you. On that note, I thank the young people for taking this initiative, but of course, the UNICEF. This is the only way we can succeed as a nation. Young people have to understand that we, as the elders today, have a duty and you have a right. But we also have a right for you to listen and also engage with us constructively, with discipline, with decorum. We can only gain what we want as a nation if we dialogue constructively. There is no amount of fight that will give you the results. There is no amount of demonstration that will give you results. We have to talk. Even if you demonstrate, you fight and cause violence, you will end up dialoguing. Why don't you start with that and get peace? Thank you.
I think just a quick reminder to the honorable ministers that this is not your program. You are not here to talk. You are here to listen to children. Let them ask questions. So now, because of that, I'm going to reduce the time from 5 to 3 minutes. And I'm serious about it. So I have 4 ministers. By the way, we have the minister responsible for digital economy. Honorable Lamin Jabi is also here. Welcome, Honorable Minister. So now, I mean, time is on our side, and the children are eager to ask questions. So I'll give you only 3 minutes, please, just briefly. Then the other issues will come once the children ask the question. So, Honorable Minister for Gender, please, quickly. And 3 minutes, please. Even though you are my in-law, but 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Before I talk about my own, I just want to compliment what Dr. Samote said earlier. We have indeed come a long way in the Gambia. Now, in our health facilities, we are doing quite a lot. Some of you may remember, about 2 years ago, and to be more precise, November 2023, I had an accident. I was going to the field, and my vehicle was assaulted 3 times, and I sustained a double fracture on this arm. And within 2 days, within 24 hours, I was evacuated to Nemban. And within 2 days, a team of Gambian doctors, led by Dr. Ka, did the operation on this arm. And all they did, they just anesthetized the arm. I was wide awake, and they were explaining to me what was the entire procedure. There was an incision on my shoulder. They inserted a metal. I don't know the name because I'm not a medical person. They inserted a metal in the bone. Inside this side, they inserted 2 screws, and then that was it. Within 2 days, I started doing my physiotherapy. Here I am now. I can do this arm to do anything. There is a metal inserted in the bone, and 2 fractures have now healed. Done here in the Gambia. My friends and former classmates sent me emails and messages. Fly out of the country to do the surgery. Do this. Go to Senegal. Go to England. I said, no. It can be done here in the Gambia. Some of them thought I was crazy. but now they all admire what we can also do in the Gambia. So a lot is being done in the medical sector. First of all, I want to start by saying that I think the children of the Gambia are now very lucky to have a whole directorate and a ministry for children. In 2019, January, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare was established. And we came on board in March and started with the strategy plan and also developed a directorate for children's affairs. Before, everything was on the social welfare, which was really, really big. So we chose to divide it into two directorates, Directorate of Children's Affairs and Directorate of Social Welfare. And Children's Directorate has its own director, deputy director, and a team of staff, as well as regional staff, staff in all the regions of the Gambia, working on children's issues. And we here in Bakote, not far from this place, we have an orphanage. It's a shelter for children, where children with special needs, by that I mean those who don't have parents, are kept and are given all the support that is required, everything. And last year, in partnership with the Ministry of Basic Education, we got support from the Emerson Kunda Foundation, and we built a 4-classroom block for the children. And because we don't want them to be using the school alone, we invited the neighbors in Bakote to also bring their children. As we are speaking, we have 104 children going to the school at the moment. We also have the family strengthening program, where we support people who are vulnerable. And we get the statistics from GBOS to the social register. So we support children with disability, children with double disability. We also support orphans. And every month it's $1,000, though small, but then there are hopes to increase it. April this year, we have reached out to 5,001 Gambians, including children. And then as we are speaking now, work is at an advanced stage, start the disbursement of support to the 5,001, which also includes children, orphans, and children with a double disability. As a ministry, I remember during the COVID period, with funding from UNICEF, of course, most of our work in the directorate, I can see 98% of our work in the directorate is funded by UNICEF. And we launched a program to support children in vulnerable families in North Bank, CRR, and West Coast region. And then we were able to reach out to 1,000 families with children. We supported them with foodstuff, oil, rice, sugar. And we also gave one monthly installment of $1,000 to each family with a vulnerable child. Again, in 2002, during the flash floods, in KMC, we did a comprehensive assessment of families mostly affected which have children. And we were able to identify 240 such families. Again, we give similar support. At the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, we have launched the hotline 199. Initially, we launched it with UNICEF only for children. But later, we made it all-inclusive also to address all cases of gender-based violence, not only for children, but also adults as well. It's located in Bakote, and all the other UN agencies came and gave support. We have the call center, UNDP, UNFPA, they all came and gave support. And we have the call center, 24-hour call center, anonymous calls, of course. When you call, you don't need to know your name. Just tell us where violence is taking place. And then quickly, we'll release a vehicle to get the victim over and we give support. If you are in the rural areas, we refer you to the one-stop centers. In each health facility, major health facilities and hospitals in the Gambia, we have a one-stop center. And there we provide the supermarket approach to services. Everything is provided: healthcare, psychosocial support, legal, the police also there. If you require legal services, pro bono, of course, we take it up. One more, which is also very important. I just want to say that we, in addition to the orphanage that we have here in Bakot here, we also support other orphanages and make sure that we have the standard operating procedures, which every orphanage must go by. And they must be registered with us. And we do the assessments periodically to make sure that you provide the right services for the children. If you don't, we close you down. It's a pity, time is up, but during time of question and answers, I can give more response. But again, one more very important thing government has done, the government of President Adam Barrow, starting from next year, we have a children's fund in our budget. We have a children's fund in our budget, and no, it's this year. It's already in the budget this year. Yes, this year, and they will be supporting children in need. And we also have a simple small support at the level of the office, where vulnerable families are assisted. If you have a baby or two or even triplets, and you write to us, you need support. We support with milk formula, clothing, and other support. And this is for all children across the country. And there's small scholarship also in that the directorate, where children, we know for the public schools, it's free education, but then you need support with books and other things. So when you write to us, then we provide all that support. And it's for all the children in the Gambia. So the other information will be for the questions and answer session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think a lot has been said. It's a lot of information. So what I would do is I'll divide this into two segments. The first segment, the four ministers have spoken. I'll now open the floor for Q&A. Once we receive Q&As and they have appropriately answered them, we can go now to the next session for the rest of the ministers to also answer questions, so that before the children forget everything that has been said here. I know, but everything got confused. So if you just permit me, yeah, please. So we Q&A. Apologies. Yes, I saw it now. What's all right? Who's having the mics? Over there, please.
Assalamu alaikum to you all.
Quickly, you feel free to ask questions in the language that you are most comfortable in. Okay. Thank you.
Good morning to you all. I go by the name Honorable Mariam Antaseka, the newly elected Deputy Speaker of the Children National Assembly of the Gambia. A representative of CRR, not CRR. I want to appreciate the government for submitting the periodic report 4th to 7th to the UNCRC Committee of Child's Rights in 2024 and for receiving including observation in 2025. The observation highlight the critical issue affecting children in the Gambia. Are you all aware of this observation? If yes, what are your opinions and commitment?
Thank you. To which minister is that question directed to?
It's a general question.
It's a general question. Thank you. Gender. Okay. Thank you. No. Next question, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Honorable Fatmata, a member of the Children's National Assembly from the West Coast region. Well, I want to ask this question to the Honorable Minister of Education. As you can see in the Gambia, we don't have enough sign language interpreters. We want the government to help in training many sign language interpreters so that they will help us to interpret in educational settings such as the university, Gambia College, so that it will help to have more inclusivity when it comes to education. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll take two more questions and we'll come back to the ministers.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Honorable Ahmad Ba from West Coast Region. I would like to thank the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare for how they have put in strong policies that are protecting us as children of the country. My question is, how are child rights violations reported and addressed by your ministry? Thank you.
Final question, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mafanta Kebe from Cardiff Municipality. So my question is directed to Minister of Health. There has been a lot of capacity building of medical personnel, and I applaud government's commitment in training, especially our homegrown healthcare providers. Recently, I witnessed a distressing scenario at the Banjul Hospital where a person with disabilities spent hours waiting for assistance because the staff on duty were unable to understand her needs. What is the government intending to do to make hospitals more disability friendly as guaranteed under Article 25 of the CRPD and Section 21 of the Gambian Children's Act 2005, ensuring that people with disabilities receive timely and effective care? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll come back to the ministers to answer. Gender, I think the first question was for you. Yes, there's a mic there with the ministers.
Yeah, there is.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Speaker of the Chinese National Assembly, Honorable Seka from CRR North. Yes, we submitted combined reports in 2024, and in January this year, me and my team were in Geneva to present the report. After that, then we received a recommendation on some of the things that have not been fully implemented. On return, we work closely with UNICEF to classify those recommendations into legal framework, policy, and strategic actions. And as we are speaking now, just yesterday, my team had a programming meeting with UNICEF for the third quarter of this year. And some of those will be implemented during this last quarter of the year. But again, at the Ministry of Gender, we don't work in isolation. And we have shared that the list of the recommendations with our partners, government, CSO, and UN. And some of them will also take up some of the action points, since it falls within their mandates. But above all, we have the coordination mechanism, and we coordinate and make sure that they are fully implemented. So be rest assured, each and every recommendation that we received from Geneva will be fully implemented. And I want to say that meeting in Geneva was a very good one because we are the only country that presented 2 reports. All other countries presented only 1 report. But the Gambia, small as we are, we presented 2 reports. But the actions, no doubt about that, they'll be fully implemented. And in addition to UNICEF, we also will have to get support from other partners. Government is already doing a lot. I mentioned earlier that now we have a children's fund in our budget. So part of that will also be used for the implementation.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
what
you
I have
very
for
much.
you. And there's also another question that has to do with how our children's rights reported. Sorry? Child abuse. Okay, sorry. I had mentioned earlier that we have established a hotline 199. It's a toll-free call number. Anybody can call and report a case of a child being abused, even though we've now extended it to a case of gender-based violence. 199 is the number. Call the number. We don't want to know who you are, but what we want to know is what has happened, where it has happened, and who has been affected. Immediately, we'll give advice. We have a toll-free. We have a GMI center at Bakote, and every health facility in the Gambia major ones I mean, has a one-stop center, which has been established by us and our partners. So if you call 199 and you tell us where it has happened, we'll refer you accordingly. If you are in the urban area, we'll ask you to, we want to know where you are. We'll ask you to seek refuge somewhere, and we'll send a vehicle for emergency response to collect you and bring you over to our shelter. If you are in rural areas, we'll ask you to go to a particular health facility where we have the one-stop centers, and you'll be taken care of. So be rest assured, wherever you are, all you want to know is the report. Call 199, and I'm emphasizing, call 199, report the case, where it has happened, and who has been affected. Action will be taken immediately. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think the next question is for the Honorable Minister of Basic Education about what your ministry is doing to employ or train more sign language to help with sign language interpreters. I think that was the question. Yes, Honorable.
Um, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. Although I will have my own time to discuss and brief you on the mandate of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. But to respond to this concern and question of the person that asked, the sector currently is undertaking reforms to ensure that education is delivered efficiently, more efficiently and effectively. And in this, we are not leaving anyone behind. Inclusivity is at the forefront, is at the center of our work as I speak. Therefore, we have embarked on standardizing sign language in this country. We notice that by far, sign language in basic and secondary education in the country generally is not standardized. So meaning people are taught to educate or to speak using the sign language in this country in different forms. We now have a framework which is going to be validated soon in consultation, of course, with the Ministry of Gender, because there is stakeholder and other ministries that deals or that work, whose works are very similar to ours, to ensure that we have a dictionary of sign languages so that the educators that are trained in tertiary and higher education go through that same system to be able to deliver a very elaborate and the same sign language, or use the same sign languages in communicating with the special needs students or students who need it to be able to understand teaching or to learn effectively in the schools. So this reform has begun, just to tell you. That is what we have done so far. I think that
Yes, that's
answers.
fine. Thank you. The next question is for the Minister of Health. Honorable.
Thank you very much. The question came from Honorable Mafanta Kebe. Thank you very much. We really apologize for the experience of that individual at the hospital. Very unfortunate indeed. But I think it's a broader picture we need to look at. The lack of capacity in the communication. And I'm happy that my colleagues have just addressed that. So what we need to look at, I think we need to work on it collectively. The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, the Ministry of Gender and Social Welfare, responsible for the differently abled individuals, and certainly so that we build capacity of our essential service providers in this country, especially the health workers, so that they're able to communicate with people. But I think by and large, the Ministry of Gender and Social Welfare is spearheading a process whereby government institutions and institutions nationally are sensitive to the plight of the differently abled with regards to even infrastructure development. Because quite a lot of people want to get to some offices, they cannot even get there because the facilities are really not there. So government is cognizant of that fact. The health facilities, the new ones we are building, all sensitive to, those facilities. Even the toilets now, there are special provisions for toilets for wheelchair-bound people. The ramps are there in every health facility now. Some of them where we have the resources, like the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, we are putting in lifts now. We are putting in lifts so that people can be taken. But I think, so government is taking in a lot of steps to ensure that. So we will also train health workers, who will be based, and they'll be able to communicate generally with the differently abled. Now, but I think it's very important for society itself, because if the interpreter is not there, how do we talk to our own children, our own brothers and sisters? So society itself should be interested in learning this. I don't know how difficult it's going to be, but I think it's been standardized. With that standardization, but we should be able to say some basic things, communicate through some basic ways with the people who are part of us. And I think at this juncture, I just want to make an appeal for us to support the differently abled in our country. They are part and parcel of us. They are children, our brothers and sisters. But some are born with inherited conditions, but no one is beyond disability. People acquire disability. As health workers, we have seen people who are born everything the way they wanted. But somewhere along the way, they develop acquired conditions. Yes. So we are all not beyond it. And apart from that, there are people we need to support. Thank you.
We'll take another folk from the back. We now go to the back. Who has the mic at the back? Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Honorable Wajalo, and I'm from Banjo. Okay, so my concern goes to the Ministry of Health. Honorable Minister, I would first of all like to acknowledge your ministry's effort in making healthcare accessible for all citizens, but especially for with the introduction of the health insurance cards to many citizens in this country. But many people also are complaining that the card is not being functional. So I would like you to please shed some light on why this is happening and what your ministry is doing to resolve it.
Next question, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Honorable Karamo Jame from Banjul. My question goes to the Minister of Youth and Sport. But before that, thanking the Minister of Information for giving us children having this opportunity to talk with ministers. Honorable Minister for Youth and Sport, my question goes to you as for how are you implementing to boost up our sporting industry? For my region in Banjul, many children have the mindset that if I want to play football, I have to go to Senegal or other neighboring countries for a better academic performance or something like that. Even friends of mine tell me that as soon as they finish with their education, schooling around grade 12 or even grade 9, they will try and move to Senegal because there they have better opportunities and they can travel. Some even tell me if they become professional footballers, they would rather play for other countries than Gambia, which is very shameful. So what I would like to implement is that you have to like improve more academies in every sport, not only basketball, football, even golf, tennis, everything that touches the aspect of sport. I know that you are doing a much and we are saying thank you so much. But please try and include these things.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good question.
Good day, everyone. My name is Honorable Emily Perry from Carnifing Municipality, and my question goes to the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare. I highly applaud the work you and your ministry have been doing in the country, from following up SGB cases to making sure that those victims attain justice. But Honorable Minister, in Section 4 of the Sexual Offense Act of 2013, it clearly states under the Constitution of the Gambia the penalty of rape, which states that a perpetrator can be convicted and sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison if found guilty of rape. Honorable Minister, with recent cases in the country, I can clearly state that this penalty is not applied. this penalty is not applied, because most of these rape cases are dragged and they are inflicting more pains on these victims. So I'd like to know what your ministry is doing to making sure that these victims attend justice at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you. The final question for this round.
Good day, honorable ministers, my fellow SNAG members, and all protocols duly observed. My names are Honorable Paul Mendy, representative of CRR. It is a great privilege for us to have a dialogue with the ministers on the issues that are affecting the children of the Gambia as a whole. And my question goes to the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare on the issues like FGM. You are doing a great job on FGM in the Gambia here. Before there were a lot of FGMs happening in the Gambia, but now due to the laws that you have made, like anyone who is caught of doing FGM will have some years in the jail or pay this amount of money, and it has been reduced. But still now some are practicing it. Why? My question is, why is it that it cannot be completely abolished in the country?
Thank you. Thank you. I think we have 4 questions, 1 for health, if I'm not mistaken, and 3 for gender. Oh, sorry, 1 for health, 1 for youth and sports, and then 3 for gender. We'll start with youth and sports, please.
Thank you. I missed the name, but your question in relation to the academies and the growth of sports in the country is noted, and we acknowledge the fact that you recognize that there is efforts been going on, and we need to improve. And yes, we agree that we need to do more to be able to reach the level that some of the countries in their neighboring countries are. But again, Isusa academies are private, and of course, government needs to be able to create that environment, and we have already started that. Recently in cabinet, we were discussing special investment certificates, and sports was never part of it. But government now recognizes that sport is no longer just a leisure activity, it's an industry, and we need to develop it. And we have now moved on to be able to include sports in those sectors that are considered as investment sectors, so that we can encourage people that are interested in investing in sports, so that they can be able to come and open the academies. Because in Senegal, like you said, those are all Jambar, Generation Food, those are private sector led. And that's what we want our private sector also to get involved. But we take note and we'll improve on that.
Yes, I think the next question is for the Minister of Health.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I was waiting to be given the go ahead. Thank you very much. The question came from Honorable Baba Jallo, Banjul, with regards to the National Health Insurance. Thank you for bringing that up. That has been one of the biggest interventions of His Excellency's government, because we have come to the realization of what we call catastrophic health expenditure that affects household income. When people are sick, they go to the hospitals and they are unable to pay on the spot. So His Excellency came up with this idea of us having a national health insurance, and every Gambian or resident of this country will carry an insurance card, by the presentation of which the person will receive health services anywhere in the Gambia, both in the public and private health facilities. It had been launched, and many people have gotten their cards as we speak. About 1.2 million people in this country have gotten the cards. It was done together with the new birth certificates. The initial phase, it was piloted, because for every intervention you have to pilot it. You look at the strategies and you see how it plays out. That was done successfully at the Bundu Maternal and Child Hospital, and now it has been rolled out. The first phase has been rolled out to all public health facilities in the country. So we are going to expand very soon. So this first phase, it is the pregnant women and then the early postpartum period, as women that are delivered newly, and the children at that age that are benefiting from it. So it's going to be society-wide. We also modifying we are amending the act to have some inclusion, so that government is able to fund it better by targeting other funding sources, so that the basket of funds available will be bigger for the people to be able to have all the people in this country to have access to it. So the summary is it is being rolled out, and inshallah very soon everybody in Gambia will have an insurance card
Thank
because
you.
it's also going to be mandatory.
Thank you very much. Agenda, you have two questions. You can just summarize them, please.
Thank you very much. The first question is about rape. Yes, the Sexual Offences Act criminalizes rape, and if you are found wanting, you are prosecuted, and you can go for a jail time of 14 years, some even 15 years. We know some years ago, was it about 2 years ago, or even last year, somebody was imprisoned for that long a period, and it is still on. Yes, I do agree. Sometimes cases are dragged in the courts, even though we have children's court. This more only one reason why we are now coming up with a special court on gender-based violence, on sexual gender-based violence, and not far from here, somewhere around Kunda, is a special court addressing only cases of sexual and gender-based violence. This to prevent the delay of prosecution. The cases are not dragged, and victims are not frustrated, and they withdraw their cases. One thing I just want to say is that when there's a rape case, it must be reported. If you want the action to be taken or the law to take its course, it must be reported. So let people report. And the other issue, I also want to advise that they shouldn't clean the victim. Yes, I know for the police, that's the first thing they look for. And then, but then when the health people come on board, then when the person is examined, we will know whether actually penetration has taken place or not. But one thing, when there's a case of rape, don't kill the individual because that's one evidence that we will need. And the second evidence will be the report from the health officials that penetration has actually taken place. But cases are still taken to court, and when they are taken to court, the right course of action is taken, and the prison term is 14 to 15 years. Thank you very much. The other question is about FGM being abolished. There is a law criminalizing FGM. We all agree cases are now going down as compared to before because of our advocacy efforts sensitizing entire communities on the harmful effects of FGM and the popularization of the law. And if you look at the Women's Act amended version, Section 32A and B clearly spell out what the law says. If you are involved in doing FGM on an individual, you are charged a fine of $50,000 or a prison term of 3 years, or both. And when the person dies, it is life imprisonment. If you are an accomplice, you are charged $20,000. So the law is in place, and the popularization is going to continue, and the law is here to remain, and so that eventually FGM can be eliminated. But I also tell my colleagues and friends, let's do the sensitization. Let the entire community become aware of the harmful effects of FGM, not the criminalization aspect, which is very, very important, of course. But let's also educate them about the health and reproductive consequences of FGM. With all of that combined together and the law, I'm sure people will live on their own accord, and that is more sustaining. In fact, that's the reason why now people are gradually stopping FGM. Yes, but before, in 2009, for example, when we started the advocacy with using the joint program of UNFPA and UNICEF, it was as high as 90% countrywide. Although as you come into the urban area, you have regional variations, it's coming down. But then now it has come down to 73%, which is a remarkable achievement. People are living on their own because it has no benefit whatsoever, and it's not a religious obligation. So I want to use this opportunity to do more advocacy and sensitization. Let's have FGM. It's against the fundamental human rights of women and girls. One, it has serious health and reproductive health consequences, and it has no religious obligation whatsoever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think the last two questions asked by the two ladies are very important questions. One that has to do with justice delayed. I think we need to have a broader conversation with the criminal justice system as well. This is what we can do to make sure we fast track this case so victim can have justice the quickest possible time. Now, for the one on FGM,
excuse me. Can you say something? Maybe I speak very fast. I have said that to make sure that cases are taken on board at the right time and justice is done at the right time and everybody is satisfied. We are now putting up a special court on FGM. Sorry, I'm sorry, on sexual and gender-based violence. Yes,
Yes.
we are putting up a special court on sexual and gender-based violence.
And we
So
commend
that
you.
court will handle only those cases. So there won't be any delays in the courts anymore.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
For the FGM, our generation has put in motion a process to abolish it. It is your generation that should abolish it completely. So that is why we have to make sure that we work with young people to engage in sustained education to show our people that it's a bad practice, it's a bad cultural practice, and it must be abolished, and we'll work with you to abolish it. Now, we'll now go to the ministers briefly. I'll start with the minister responsible for internal security, Honorable Sanyang. 3 to 5 minutes also talk briefly about your sector. Then we'll do the final ones and we'll go back to the question and answers. I'll also give you the opportunity to speak briefly, Nafisa, because I know Chida will have some questions for you for UNICEF as well. So in order to what UNICEF is doing and so on and so forth. Honorable.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Ismail Sise, for giving us the opportunity to be here with the children. I think people are saying which ministry is more important than the others. But I think the minister responsible for internal security is the most important ministry. Because without peace and security, nothing works. We will not be here. The doctors will not work, the farmers will not go to farm, agriculture will not work. We'll be all at home and will not be eating. So the basic is the internal security, peace and stability. I think that's very important. So we are the most important ministry in the country. And in fact, we are a sovereign ministry. The Ministry of Internal Security is responsible for internal security. And then we do this thing through 5 agencies. The Gambia Police Force, responsible for law and order, the Immigration Department, Migration Management, the Fire and Rescue Service, Emergency and Ambulance and Fire Incident Management, and we also have the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, DILIC, which is responsible for drug and then drug reduction. And we also have the prisons who are responsible for the prison management. And we also have 2 other institutions, the Refugee Commission, responsible for refugees. And we also have another institution called the Small Arm and Light Weapon, which is hosted at the Ministry of Interior. So those are our key functions. What are we doing that will affect or benefit the young people? The Ministry of Interior, currently we have a very big flagship program. That's our prison reform. That we are changing from prisons to correctional facility. And then the government of His Excellency, the President of the Gambia, has directed the ministry to work on those things ASAP. I think in the next 2 to 3 months, we'll lay the foundation stone. We have identified the land around Birkama Nyambikala, and then we have almost half of the fund. And then we are trying to see, once that is established or actualized, we will not have a prison system, we will have a correctional facilities with also a production center. But in that particular correction facility, we take into account for the juvenile offenders, young people that have conflict with the law. Because once you are sent to prisons, you lose your education. But in this particular facility, if you are sent to prison, you continue education. Grade 7, it will have facility that will do grade 7, up to grade 12. And then if you are grade 7, you go to grade 8, and then we have the prisons, we will connect you, because we are working hand in glove with the education sector to make sure students are taken care of. And also another most important thing, I think the UN rep is here, and then the German rep just left. Our new facility, the new police model facilities, we also took care of the gender and children facilities that are inside those stations. We have built about UN sponsored one. The German sponsored two. We are also doing two. And then the GIZ also are doing another five. But by the end of the year or next year, we'll have almost 10 new model police stations. Mr. Juve is here. I think I used to have problem with people when I was the Inspector General of Police. The facilities, police facilities are not conducive. I always tell them, this is what we have. So that was the reason why we thought that we need to come up with not cells, but holding facilities. People, because anybody can come into conflict with the law. Because most of the time, when we put people in the cell, we think we just want to put people in the cell, but when we go home, we don't sleep because we know the conditions. That's why the Gambia Police Force are doing everything possible to make sure we have model police station. If you are there and you come into conflict with the law, you'll be comfortable whilst we are holding you. They are not punishment centers, but we need to do our processes, and then people need to allow us to do it. I will stop here for the meantime, and then ask my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Police officers never fail. When you tell them 5 minutes is 5 minutes. Honorable Minister, Basic Education.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Information, Media, and Broadcasting Services. I indulge everyone to prevail or stand on existing protocols established for the sake of time to go straight to brief this August gathering the mandate of the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education. As you all know, this is the sector that is mandated to handle the foundational education of children of the Gambia, which is very critical, meaning the initial nurturing and education of every child of the Gambia rests on the shoulders of basic and secondary education, fundamentally making it one of the most, maybe not most, but one of the most critical and important as institution of this country. Within this mandate, it is clear that we ensure that education is accessible to every child of the Gambia from age 3 to 18. Critical age, critical time in the life of the child. And this is why I am very happy to see the diplomatic corps here, development partners, senior government officials, because we need the participation and collaboration of every one of you, including the civil society, organization, representatives, to ensure that we prevail and succeed in nurturing these children so that they can be productive future leaders of this country. They're actually the future of the country. They are the reasons why you and I are here. So this is why, Speaker, we have a lot of work to do together to ensure that that environment is giving to you, because we will rely on you very soon in ensuring the prosperity of the Gambia. And I think this country by far has demonstrated that commitment to ensure that the foundation is strengthened, that the foundation is built on very strong, very strongly to ensure that the dispensation later on of this country is in good and safe hands. The mandate also includes to be very fair in providing the educational services. And that is why I am very happy that we have diversity in the National Assembly representation here. This is very critical, this is important. We will be very fair in dispensing education in the country to ensure that every child prevails on the same playing field, irrespective of their circumstances and their situations. We will also ensure that not only special circumstances are considered, but also to cater for those who think that they don't only need conventional education, but also they need education in other forms, especially those educational systems that uses Arabic in dispensing education, or those faith-based institutions. The reasons for this is that these are also children of the Gambia, and they will eventually be part and parcel of the system when they mature. So we want them to be productive. We want them to fit. So this is why the sector is doing everything it can to ensure that we mainstream conventional education in madrasas and Arabic systems and other field-based educational systems to ensure that these children can contribute meaningfully to national development. In the areas of environment, we have seen marked progress and improvement. I will come to that perhaps during the conversations to realize the extent to which this government has gone to ensure that education is accessible. It is very close to every child in this country, as far as Boliban, which was an amazing breakthrough to allow those children to stay in their communities and access education. So I indulged, Speaker, like I said in the beginning, I have a lot of work to do with you. We are not only going to educate these children, we want you to be responsible in the process. I want you who are opportune to be here today to indulge your colleagues to keep your school environments clean. Ensure that any trash that is meant for the trash bin gets to the trash bin. We will work together to champion and celebrate schools that are the cleanest in this country. We will work together to champion schools who have the best and fitting environment when it comes to nature. We want to see beautiful trees in your schools. We want to see beautiful flowers. We want to see your schools kept well, and we will celebrate that. I indulge partners to support us in this crusade. The Minister of Environment is here. These are fundamentally important for our nation building. You see, discipline is key. And all these small things, if we're able to do, it only help us to be better people, to be responsible, and to be productive in national development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The final minister to speak, 3 to 5 minutes. Also, the Minister for Communication and Digital Economy, Honorable Lamin Jabi.
Good morning, my colleague ministers, our development partners, distinguished guests, and our very valuable children. I'll make it very short, just like I was told. There is an animal in the room here. And that animal, almost everybody wants to have the animal with you. And on that animal, everything and everybody depends. Without that animal, almost today nothing can be done. And yet that animal can become the root of all evils in our society. And that animal is almost with everybody. What is that animal? If interior is the most important ministry, then we are having the most dangerous instrument, which is the mobile phone. So our sector as communications and digital economy we are briefly dealing with so many things: the communications infrastructure, the services that you are currently having, and the applications, services also that you are currently enjoying from. We have to make sure that that is built. It's very expensive. And I have to thank the government, the commitment we have, because we can become very expensive for really putting up that infrastructure. But today, for the purposes of today's occasion for the children, our ministry has just concluded, validated what we call a policy on children and vulnerable groups online protection policy. That is validated because if you look at the definition of children from 0 to 17 years, if that's the case, we're looking at 49.4% of our population. So in other words, we need to make sure that these children, their online presence, they are secured, while we do not also compromise that freedom of expression. I think it's very valuable. Now, this particular mobile tool that I mentioned, you can use it for anything now. Parents are using it for babysitting, and children would use it for almost everything. So that policy, we believe, will be able to balance your need to use it and your safety, as we must protect you. But also, it's very important that we recognize another important aspect of this tool or within our sector. Because you as children, you are entitled to two important things. That is the socialization of yourself as a person and the stabilization of your personalities. Now, this particular tool, we are looking at the ICT tools, be it computers that we can use for anything or mobile phones. They do contribute, we recognize, to your growth. But equally, as you are growing, for your personality to be stabilized, they can actually have impact on it, positively or negatively. These are things we're really looking at. The third issue is inclusion. You realize for a sector like ours, you may be surprised to know that actually the entire sector, the digital economy sector, is contributing nothing less than 25% to this economy. In terms of collectibles, if there is $1 million contribution as taxes, that $1 million is 250,000 comes from our sector. That makes it a very important sector. So, but we want that inclusion from the children. So the definition given to the term children 17 and your relationship, that relationship with whether you can have national ID cards, our sector is going to break that down. Because if the cards and the digital ID cards, for example, to be given to enhance economic inclusion, we hope that we would not want to leave those from 16 below to 10, 11, 12, because we believe you can also contribute. So these are things that we are currently looking at to make sure that we make you very active and citizens that can contribute to the growth of this sector. Lastly, I know my time, 5 minutes is finished, which is very important that I'm about to say. If ICT, today we call it the absolute necessity for any country to grow. But if you do use it effectively and reasonably as our future, then the future will be in good hands. But if you start abusing it today and you're not protected and you're not ready to be protected, the future of this country would be in a mess. So to that we say, we believe this tool need not be a dangerous tool. We can turn it to become a tool that enhance our development. And that's what the government is standing to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now we will, before we go back to receiving questions from the Children's National Assembly, we will do an inauguration and we'll allow Ms. Nafisa to come and do it. We can also have as the UN President to come and join us here to do it. Yes, Honorable Speaker, come and join us. Ambassador, come on, join us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Yes, you can.
Okay, so good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. We are inaugurating today a very special character, animated character, who will speak on behalf of children of the Gambia. And this conception was born out of a discussion with Honorable Minister of Information. And then it is getting inaugurated today. It is launched today. It will see the world today, but there will be series of different episodes coming, talking about what you suggest as children, how this should, children should speak about it. It includes popularizing the child rights, but also popularizing the concluding observations that you spoke about and you asked this morning to the minister. So we would like to, yes. Honorable, it's all your idea.
Yes.
So please come in.
Thank you. Do we have it ready, Haruna?
Sonarams, oh, sonarams, oh, sonarams, oh, sonarams, sonarams, oh, sonarams, oh, sonarams, Sonarams, oh, sonarams, oh, sonarams, oh, sonarams, sonarams, oh, sonarams, oh, sonarams, oh.